All right.
Yeah, it's already started. It's ready to go. Okay.
Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're going to start the meeting. It is 7:18. Sorry for the delay. Call the meeting to order. We're going to do a flag salute first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Bollenbacher,
Here.
Mr. Chandler is online.
Here.
Is he there? Yep, great. Ms. Compatello?
Here.
Oops, sorry, my pen isn't working. Mr. Marks?
Here.
Mr. Oliverio,
Here.
Ms. Prokownik,
Here.
Ms. Rodilla, Mr. Rodilla, sorry.
Here.
Mayor Perry? I don't know if you were online. Okay,
Not here yet.
Solicitor Corbel
I'm here.
and myself.
Okay. We have a quorum, the consent agenda. So on the OneDrive, we had the minutes from May 11th. We also had the bill list from May 25th and all the April reports, which are on the agenda, which you can read. So they've all been on the OneDrive for council to review. And do we have any motion to approve the May 25th, 2023 consent agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Badilla,
Second.
Ms. Compatello, any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion passes. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and physical address for the record. We have, okay, we have a person in attendance, then we'll go into online. So Andrea, hi.
Do I have to press the button? Okay. Hi, I'm Andrea Marquis. I live at 38 Marion Street. I am here to do a few very brief reports. And that I'm involved with Crafton. The first is the library. And besides the report that you guys get every month from the library, I wanted to let you know we started a new seed library. So people can come in and take seeds out. They don't have to bring them back, but at the end of the season, they can bring some seeds that they've saved back. And so that's pretty neat, and it's getting used already.
Where is at the library? then? Okay.
Catalog.
Uh-huh.
So there's envelopes and seeds in there, and they're all labeled with instructions. And there's also a book that tells you what everything is and what doors. So if you're looking for flowers that you pull from, you can look in the book and then
Do they take donations?
yes. They just have to be, you know, non-creative kind of things and
No hybrids. You can't take hybrids. No. They wouldn't grow. They wouldn't grow. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would.
So, it's also the entire staff did CPR training. So that's good. Now they can save our lives if we can go in there, especially with Gabrielle. They're close to her. New executive officers that were nominated and approved at our last meeting. The library got a $5,000 grant to improve the team selection and programming. And the summer reading for all ages will kick off June 9th, 6 p.m. to 7:30. Oh, thanks. In Crafton Park. Any questions on the library? Okay. For the food pantry, I looked up our stats from this year, January to March. I don't have financials after that, so I'll report. But all right. So money that the food pantry paid to the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank for food that was not covered by grants in that first quarter of 2023 was $4,323.13. Additional food that we had to buy to supplement that because supplies are really down was another $2,609.84. We served 114 distinct households and 240 individuals. And that's pretty standard, although attendance and need for food is going up. So we'll see if that increases next time. The ages of people, the individuals, 30% of the food pantry clients, household members, and the people who come get the food are between 35 and 59 years old. 27% are 60 years plus. 23% are in the 18 to 34-year-old range. 10% 6 to 12, 6% 0 to 5, and 5% 13 to 17. So, most, I guess the majority are in the 35 to over 60 range, over half. Any questions on the food pantry?
Is that Crafton residents or is that?
It's Crafton Ingram.
Without boundaries, okay.
Yeah, so it's technically Crafton Ingram, although within the last couple years, we really don't turn anybody away. The food bank, the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank, changed some things over the past couple years, so we're no longer allowed or need to ask for proof of income. We just ask people to declare what their income is. And also, we always gave emergency food to whoever walked in. So if someone lived in, I don't know, McKees Rocks and came for food, they would get food, but they wouldn't be able to get on our books as a returning client. We would only do Crafton and Ingram, even parts of Robinson that were 15205, we didn't necessarily serve. But now there's no distinction. So whoever wants to come and get food, no matter where they are, if it's convenient for them, they can come get it.
For the public, where's it located?
So the distribution happens every Tuesday and Wednesday at the Crafton United Presbyterian Church at 80 Bradford Ave
Mhm.
from 9:30 to about 12:15.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the last thing I'll talk about is the community garden. And I did just add up all our statistics from last year, from 2022. And it was a pretty low year for us. We had about 250 person hours of work, time spent at the garden logged, and harvested about 420 pounds of produce. In contrast to pretty much all of our other years, usually we would have between 400 and 500 person hours worked. And our yield had been in the 1,000 to 1,400 pounds of produce range. So last year was a weird one. We really had 4 people who were returning volunteers who went on a regular basis. And then we had some people jump in here and there. We had a couple small groups who came and did things. But we did also start late and did not cultivate all of the rows that were available because of lack of volunteers. But in 2023, already we have 15 active volunteers, plus people have dropped in. Not much harvested yet. And we did harvest a little bit of oregano and green garlic. But a couple weeks ago when it was nice out, we had 16 people come and work. So that was really great. And we have I don't know where everyone came from, but we have a really good group of enthusiastic and knowledgeable volunteers. So I'm very excited and relieved. And back to last year, our best crops by weight were strawberries, beans, zucchini, tomatoes, and garlic. So any questions about that?
And Andrea, and we're giving you a little extra time.
Oh,
since
thanks.
You're giving great reports. For the newsletter too,
Mhm.
because I know you do the community gardens, but I think the food bank, putting that information in there. For the
That's a great
newsletter
idea.
Would be
Yeah.
really good. The
Okay.
statistics and the locations.
Oh,
hours,
okay,
and
cool.
Everything else would be wonderful to have.
Okay,
that
and I saw that is the deadline of July 1st
Yeah.
for the next one.
there. Yeah,
Will do. Okay,
and pictures are a big deal.
okay,
So lots
try
of
to get some.
pictures, make sure to take gardens, food bank even.
Okay.
Everything is good. The seed catalog now.
yeah,
I mean,
I'll take pictures of it all. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
all right, thanks.
All right, thanks.
Okay. All right, Mr. Carlin.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is the first meeting I've attended,
Yeah.
so I just want to introduce myself.
Sure. You have to go,
Oh,
to-
okay.
yeah, they can't hear you otherwise. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Liam Carlin. I reside at 219 West Steuben Street. I came here today actually to discuss one of the agenda items, the public works hiring. So before I get into what I had to say, are you able to tell me what candidates you've selected? Because that may change my questioning and line of thought.
It is. I don't know.
The names are on there. Yeah, we are, the motion is up for Bill Francis and Matthew, what's his name? Sheldon Brand. I didn't remember his last name. Matthew Sheldon Brand.
Okay. All right, that alters what I have to say to you. Thank you very much. I just wanted to speak as a character witness on behalf of Bill Francis. He's somebody I've known for 20 plus years. I could say that he's my best friend, but also I know him to a very, very deep level. And being a member of the Crafton community, he's definitely somebody that we would want to have to help work for us. I mean, he's in the military. He has the truck driving skills. I know you were looking to fill a CDL position there. And then moreover, he's just a very ethical guy. He's the type of guy that in an emergency won't hesitate. He'll jump in, lend a hand. Just recently, as a truck driver, he saw a car accident where icy roads. A car had actually went over the guardrail and he had to pull over and actually pull a family out of the car. And while he was doing that, another car accident happened and his truck got rear-ended. So while he was, reacting to the situation, trying to help somebody, he was risking his own life and almost got killed in the process. So I support that motion to hire Bill Francis, and I just wanted to come here to say that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Cronin. All right. Anybody else? Yeah, okay. Anybody online, just raise your hand on Zoom. Okay. Moving on, the president's report, we have a lot on the agenda, so that's all been handled. Mayor's report, Ms. Perry is out of the country. Solicitor's report.
Just wanted to announce that prior to tonight's meeting, council held an executive session to discuss personnel matters. Thank you. End of my report.
Manager's report, Mr. Price.
Thank you. I'm gonna mention a few things that aren't necessarily on the agenda, but just to make some comments on things. The pool is opening this weekend. And I wanted to specifically thank Public Works. They've done a very good job. They've had some issues with leaks and other things in the last few weeks, and they're down 2 people. And they have less people on their seasonal crew, but they've really done a great job making that work. We are aware that there are some overgrowth issues happening around the community where signage needs to be cut. We need to have things cut back around signage and whatnot. But that they were focused on the issue at hand and did a great job. And now they will be moving into that work in the next couple of weeks. But just want to let the community know that that's not been lost. We have just been focused on the most important thing at hand, and that is opening the pool, which will open on Saturday. Another thing, a comment to this weekend, and a comment to also thank Public Works. They did a great job with Memorial Day prep, making sure that the circle was mulched and the front of the building looks great. And also thanks to Mary and some of her volunteers for helping with that as well. So the Memorial Day ceremony will happen on noon on Monday. So if you care to stop by and recognize the military veterans that we have here in Crafton, or those who are lost, actually, is who we recognize on Memorial Day. And also a comment on the pool passes. Tomorrow will typically be the busiest day for sales on pool passes, but we have already sold 113 memberships with 413 individual members. So it's been quite successful. I'll have an update on how that compares to past years after this, the next few weeks, because really tomorrow will be, this weekend will be a telltale on how much you actually sell through that system. So I just want to give an update on that. Another update on the stage roof. There's been some issues with the stage roof. We have determined that there is no leak on the back of the stage. So the back of the stage is actually in good shape, but there is a leak underneath the door. We are working on fixing that. So that won't be a continued issue. And there is a small leak on the larger part and the main part of the stage. And we're going to have, as soon as Public Works is through this next week, we're going to have them look at that and see if they can't patch that temporarily as we move forward. The Civil Service Commission is active now. I'm sure some of you that are on Savvy Citizen have seen those notices go out. They've now had an a public organizational meeting, and they're meeting again in 2 weeks, I think on June. I don't want to say it out loud because I might get it wrong. I think it's June 12th. And so they'll be meeting to continue to develop a list for the civil service hires. So they've been moving forward, and I'd like to thank the 3 commissioners, David Bloom, David O'Brien, and Emily Babiak, for really being active and pushing that forward. And moving on to the items that are specifically on the agenda. First thing up is the decorative streetlights on Crafton Boulevard. We received a call from a resident who thought maybe that we should adjust them. They were designed to not bleed into anyone's yards, to the light to bleed in anyone's yards. But when it comes to practice, and I went up after last council meeting and took photographs, and that's what you all have sitting at your seats there. And you'll see that in practice, the lights actually are fairly bright on the road and do very little for the sidewalks. And so I wanted to ask council, and I have a motion to authorize the borough manager to have Public Works or the contractor test turning a few of the lights around and adjusting the bulbs so that they illuminate the sidewalks.
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Ms. Compatello, second. Mr. Marks moved it. Any discussion?
Yes, we have discussed this in the past, and I know there's been interest in this topic, but we had some concern that really came from more of an engineering and a legal standpoint that we may not be allowed to have the light fall on private property. Do we have any updates, or have we looked into that at all? Or is this attempt to simply turn the light around and attempt to then measure if it does fall on private property?
Yeah, I was not aware of that conversation. That's the first I've heard that there was a legal concern. I knew that they were concerned about it shining on property. The idea was that I thought it wasn't supposed to shine into someone's house to be an annoyance. I didn't realize that it couldn't even shine onto their property at all, but I don't. Yeah.
Could maybe ask the solicitor to
Yeah.
weigh in here, but I don't believe that it was resident concern about touching an inch or two of their property. I think it's more in our ordinance.
Yeah, so my recollection is that it has to be more of a direct issue, but I'd have to double check that to be sure. I'm just trying to remember back to when we discussed this last. So I don't have any concern with us doing a trial, which is what you're proposing from that perspective, and then we can decide whether or not it comports with our ordinances and law in general.
Great, okay.
It would be nice to perhaps have an update to remind us or point out specifically if there is an ordinance at issue, specifically what it is, because it's also possible that we could discuss changing that. If it is, minor changes perhaps that residents are on board with and create a better environment.
Agreed.
So because right now the motion as it reads is to authorize the borough manager to have Public Works or the contractor test turning a few of the lights around and adjusting the bulbs so they illuminate the sidewalks.
Have you identified which ones you would turn? Would perhaps the resident next to that be notified?
It was my intention to choose the one where the houses were the closest. So if anyone was going to be an annoyance, it would be that one. So that then we're testing the worst case. That was my intent, but I hadn't looked at specifically which one that would be.
Can we ensure that when the location is selected, the relevant homeowner or homeowners be notified that we're going to be conducting a test so they understand why there's a change and they can?
Yes,
Weigh in.
absolutely.
As you look at the pictures, it's really odd that we're illuminating the grass and the plants, but not the sidewalk. So where people are going to be walking. So it's a little odd.
Are you turning it the whole way around, like 180 or 90?
Well, we're going to test, but the goal is probably to turn it all the way around. And then the bulb is actually directional as well. So we'll turn the bulb around within if possible, but we haven't done it yet. So we don't really know.
Okay, thank you.
Just to chime in with an anecdotal opinion, like those lights facing the street are terrible when you're driving down the street at night. At least somebody who has trouble with street lights driving at night. So if they're not that, I know that the motion doesn't say anything about diffusion of light, but man, that would be a nice, interesting test to run to if that's possible.
Noted.
Discussion, any other thoughts? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Great, thank you. Okay, this is we need to pass a resolution for a grant application for Noble and Linwood Park. We're the Greenway Recreation and Trails Program from DCED. We're applying for that grant to add to the grant that we've already received from DCNR for $250,000 for the grant. And we are going to start by phasing in and focusing on Noble Park at this point. We were able to get more letters of support for that project. So we are going to look in that direction. So this is a motion. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve resolution 2023-12, authorizing the borough manager to apply for a Greenways Trails and Recreation Program grant from DCD for the rehabilitation of Noble and Linwood Parks in the amount of $250,000.
So moved.
Ms. Bolenbacher,
Second,
Ms. Compatello, discussion?
Is this a matching grant?
This is a grant that you are able to use for matching. We will have to offer a small portion of matching funds. I think it'll be in the range of $38,000 to $40,000. But yes, we will use this to match the $250,000 that we already received from DCNR.
so are you saying that it is a grant that requires a 50% match, but we can use the grant we have to match? Or are you saying that it has a smaller percentage match?
I'm not actually sure what it's required. I think it does require a 50% match, but we are able to use the other grant as a match for this. We've been told by DCNR and DCD that's okay. But we do have to provide a small portion of match for this one as well, directly. And I don't know why it's exactly $38,000 or $40,000, but that's what we were told by our consultant.
And for the original grant, how much was that match?
The $250,000. So we originally agreed to match with DCNR the entire $250,000 from our bond fund.
This is
Thank you.
50%.
So it was 250 grant. We were matching 250. So now we're applying for a grant for 250 so that it would wash that way. Plus we would have a small match for that.
So each grant will be the match for the other. And then we just have to pitch in a little bit so that we have
Right.
some skin in the game.
And it would be a huge taxpayer savings without having that 250.
It likely it would be a little over 500,000 anyways. The project that was initially proposed and costed out as a concept in the Parks Master Plan was in the 500, a little over 500. And of course, with, costs and inflation always going up by the time it's being constructed, we'd likely be spending that little bit of extra anyways. You mentioned letters of support. How many letters of support were received?
At this point, we've received 4. We received one from both, 3, expecting one more from another elected official. We have received one from Senator Fontana, and then the daycare, Precious Angels Daycare, and a parent. So,
Did we ask those other elected officials for support for both and they chose one, or did they only offer one? Like, what was the reasoning between having letters of support for Noble Park and not Linwood Park?
oh no, this is they provided letters. I must have miscorrectly stated. They provided the 3 letters that we received are all for both. Yeah.
Any further discussion or question? All right.
And I misspoke again. The letters from the daycare and from the parent are specifically for Noble.
For Noble.
But
yeah.
the other ones are general for the whole thing. We were asked by DCD that they might want to phase the project. They might not want to fund the whole thing. And if they don't fund the whole thing, then we wanted to focus on the one that we were able to get more letters of support for. Sorry. Now I got it.
Anything else? Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
One opposed? Motion passes. All right.
Okay, and then the final thing for my portion of the agenda is Public Works hiring. We underwent a fairly comprehensive process to search for a new Public Works staff. And the 2 that were chosen, we'd like to start as soon as possible. I'd just like to lay out, though, for the audience, what the process was. We put an ad out in our local paper, which right now is the Gazette 2.0. We also put it on our website, and we put it in all the Savvy Citizen and normal places that we put it. But we also put it on a few online sources, and we ended up receiving more than 60, or I think we received 65 applications. I then took those 65 applications and put them on a spreadsheet and scored them. We did that with no names. So we had the Carissima, who works in the office, remove all of the names so that this process was equitable and that we didn't know who anyone on this list was. By the time I got done with this, I chose 10 people. I reached out to them to interview them. I was able to interview 8 of the 10. And from that 8, I chose 5 to move forward in the second interview process. Those 5 were given to our public works foreman and our assistant manager, Doug Sample, to interview. They interviewed all 5 and they chose their 2 best. The 2 best that they chose were also my 2 favorite. And so that's who we've provided today, as we mentioned earlier, Bill Francis and Matthew, and I forget, Sheddenbrand, thank you very much, to be accepted as the hires. I would like to note, we will place Matt first in order of seniority, and Bill Francis will be second in order of seniority. In the case of any issues with seniority related to the union, so that this will probably come up down the road when things are brought up related to seniority. So I want to make that clear that Matt is the first person hired and Bill will be the second person hired.
And Mr. Price, before we had 1 position open, can you say why there's now 2 positions?
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Our longtime Public Works associate, and I'd like to also, and this gives me a chance to thank him for his service. He was here. I wish Coletta was here because she could give me exactly, but I know it was more than 30 years. His name, Rick Devlin. So we want to thank him for his service. He agreed to retire a few weeks ago. So, and we are moving forward. Thank you.
All right, so there's a motion to approve the hiring of the new public works staff as recommended by the borough manager.
So moved.
Mr. Rodilla,
Second,
Ms. Compatello. Discussion.
is the anticipated start date?
We will let them know now and they will give their 2 weeks. I would expect as soon as those 2 weeks are up, they will be here. I don't anticipate, Matt might be starting a little sooner than that, but I don't anticipate it being quicker than that.
Will that mean that will Public Works be understaffed for a short bit while they wait for that? Or do we have any issues to anticipate?
They've been understaffed for a month and a half or 2 months and through the busiest time of the year. So I did approve some overtime for that to make sure that they got, what they needed. And if they still need it, I've told them that they're allowed to use it at this point to make sure that we're ready for summer. So.
And when do the temporary public works have started already?
Yeah, they started a few weeks ago.
So the motion is very non-specific, though. Should we amend it to add names? We don't need to. Okay. Okay. Just making sure.
Any other discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. You done? Okay. Okay, thank you. Standing committees report, Finance and Administration. Ms. Perry isn't here. Are you taking that one?
Yeah, I can take that one. On the drive, and you can actually click on the links that are on the agenda, are the April budget to actual. And we are well on track and doing well. We have seen a decline in house transfer sales, but that's to be expected with the changing market that we're in. That's probably the biggest significant change that we've seen. Everything else generally is on track. There's no serious issues. The other thing, capital expenses was a little high because we did purchase a property, that the Baker's Acres property. So that also has left us a little tight on that part of the budget, but that's to be expected with that purchase. And for the 2023 bond tracking sheet, that is something very useful to look at to see where we are on our bonds. I did not bring it in front of me, but we have accumulated about $3 million in grants we've already received. We have been we have been awarded about $10 million in grants, meaning that the bond that we've took out has already more than doubled itself just in the grants we've received. So it's been a very successful bond. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so for those that would like to take a look at it, you can go online and take a look at where we're at. And it has the overall, so bonds funds spent to date are 4.61 million. Costs still expected from committed projects are 10 million. 10.7 million. So we still have quite a few projects that are in the pipeline. And the grant offsets from those additional projects are in the amount of 7.6 million. So we're doing very well. Once all of the bond funds, once all of the projects that we've been committed to are going through, we'll have about 1.1 million left in the bond fund that we will need to spend on projects. And there are a few other projects that are proposed and pending that are in the amount of about $1 million. So we do have those projects moving along. And if those projects are awarded grants and we're comfortable with moving forward with those, we'll be left with about $200,000 of bond funds, which is meaning that when we took this bond out, we have more than doubled our money and maybe we'll go above that. So it's looking very good at this point.
And this, we'll call it the bond sheet, shows the actuals, the committed, how much grant money we've been given, each project down to the detail, including the completion dates and how much has been spent. And if there's any change orders, all of it's extremely detailed report. And that's obviously open to the public to view and take a look at. So this is something that is a good way to be able to track that $9 million bond that we went for quite a few years ago.
Great. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right. Speaking of the bond money, Ms. Compitello.
All right, well, this update will be a little shorter than it often is. But first of all, on our agenda for community services and infrastructure, the Broadhead Sewer Separation Project update. No major updates tonight, but we do want to announce to the residents of Crafton that there will be a presentation, a more detailed presentation by our engineers from Gateway at the June 8th meeting. So they will be here and present, and they'll have some visuals, and they'll talk through the amended costings that we've been looking into and the details of the project as it's expected to be. It covers a number of blocks around Broadhead and some adjacent streets. So that June 8th meeting will have a detailed presentation. Second item on the agenda is an update on the 2023 road paving. This is also just a reiteration again. We've presented this in past months. The agenda links to the list of streets that have been selected. I'll read off an overview of what those blocks are. There will be portions of Station Street, Johnson Street, Chartiers Avenue, Kingston Avenue, Crafton Boulevard, and Chess Avenue to be paved this summer. I don't have an exact date yet, but we'll keep the public informed as we get closer to knowing start dates. And again, the link that is on the agenda that's on the borough's website has more specifics about which exact blocks are included in that, unless anyone wants me to read them off now. Third item is the Union Avenue reconstruction. The second and final phase started last week. The new curbs are installed and the demolition of the concrete roadway is underway and on schedule. The project is due to be completed at the end of next week, weather permitting. And I walked it last weekend. It looks really nice. The portion that was the first half, they've been doing a good job.
Just one note, and Colton, if you're still there, could probably attest this. I'm not certain that they have started. It was expected to happen on Tuesday that they were going to start demolition, so they may not have started demolition yet. I think there was a slight pause. I don't know if you're still there, Colton.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't believe they started. I haven't walked up that far, just because I spent the first 3 weeks walking all the way up to the top of the street to get in my car. So, but I don't believe they've started the actual demolition of the top half of the street or the beginning of the street. I think you're correct on that.
But I am still under the impression that it will be done by next week.
That was my understanding. And just from a personal perspective from the last part, that was the fastest part. The most time consuming part was the curbs.
Okay, so they may not have started demolition yet. Not exactly on schedule, but still anticipated to end next week on schedule somehow. Okay.
Mhm.
Fourth item is the Crafton Boulevard Streetscape Phase 2. The decorative lights needed to complete the project are on order. The borough is aware that some of the lights did not turn on last week, and we're working with the contractor to figure out why.
And update on that, they have all turned on this week, so we don't know, we have no idea why they didn't turn on 1 or 2 nights last week.
We'll continue to monitor that, and if anyone notices that some of them are not turning on, please call the borough to let us know. If we haven't yet noticed it, keep an eye on those lights. And of course, as mentioned earlier in the manager's report, we'll be testing out moving some of those around. So there may be some other changes that you'll notice that are planned and expected. Item number 5 is the multi-municipal zoning project update. No major updates here, but the project is moving forward, and the borough and the consultant and the steering committee are in the process of scheduling the next steering committee meeting with Ingram, since it's a multi-municipal project, to plan for the next steps. We should be getting towards having a draft ready for public review, I would expect in the summer. But that next steering committee will give us more information to report out to the community. And then finally, the pool bathhouse. This again has been mentioned in several of the past meetings, but we want to keep it on the public's radar. There will be a preliminary design review at the June 8th council meeting. So we'll have some more information then and some images to show. I would anticipate certainly some more details to share on the current design and the costing for that pool bathhouse renovation. After the June 8th meeting with that presentation, it will be going up to council for approval for the June 22nd council meeting. The intent is to let the pool season continue and close out as normal, and then begin construction in the fall. That is all for the formal agenda for my committee, but I did want to close with one additional reminder for everyone from the code enforcement side. It has been getting into warm weather, plants are growing, grass is growing, and that's often one of the #1 code enforcement issues to deal with. So please cut your grass when you can, try to maintain that. That is one of the biggest calls that we get on the code enforcement side. Thank you.
On the lawn point too, I think I brought this up with Jim, but I guess I wanted to throw it out too. I know we've seen a number of boroughs start the No Mow May movement this year. I don't know if anyone's seen that, where they're letting lawns get a little bit longer, let some of the natural, flora and stuff take off, to let bees and all the other things, that could benefit from that. So I don't know if that's something we might want to consider next year, but just want to plant that seed while we're talking about it.
I can also add some additional information. As an employee for Sustainable Pittsburgh, we were very encouraging of more natural lawns. If you can do that, if you can do clover or other issues, it's much better for one of our biggest issues, and will probably continue to be our biggest issue, and that is stormwater overflow. It is now known that well-manicured lawns are only slightly better than concrete at absorbing water. So a well-manicured lawn is not good for sewer water and stormwater issues. So there is a significant movement around the country to move towards more natural lawns, or as you said, certain periods allowing for more flower, so that this lawns get healthier during the summer. So something to consider in the future.
I'll just add to that. I've shifted mine towards clover. It does not require as much mowing, and it has nice flowers.
Great. Community recreation, community events, Ms. Bollenbacher.
All right, we are still we're still accepting applications for food trucks and vendors for both the June 10th car cruise and vendor show, as well as for the 4th of July. For us, we were considering, there was discussion about hosting a community table at the vendor show with community information and maybe to also actively help recruit people into our committee vacancies. Would also have info on the topics such as zoning updates, pool passes, dog tag information, all the things that we had at that meet and greet that we had at the Fig Coffee Shop. So that was just something, we would also kind of do that in conjunction with the rec board, who's going to have their own table at this event as well. And that's really all we have right now for upcoming events. My next topic would be the newsletter. Like was mentioned earlier, we are going to have a newsletter. We're aiming to get out on August 1st. So any articles you would like to submit, please have by July 1st. What is that? The digital sign update. Do we have an update on this side?
No, we just wanted to keep it on the agenda so that
Okay.
people know it's coming.
Okay.
But Public Works has to build the base.
Mhm.
And I have not even been notified yet if the product itself is yet built.
Yeah.
But once it is built, then we'll be moving forward. And that base will also have electricity in it so that people can access lights and things
Mhm.
for the holidays.
Okay, thank you for that. And we also in our last meeting discussed updating the process regarding the veterans flags that you see throughout the neighborhood. So if you'd like to update us on that as well, Jim, please.
Sure. This is also linked. So if you have access on your computer, you can link directly to this, but this is a brief memo on the current military banner program analysis and recommendations for moving forward. Currently, we have more than 155 banners hanging around the community, plus or minus 5, because we weren't previously tracking the back and front side separately. So there's and we're currently in the process of tracking that data down specifically, but about 292 are veterans and representatives. Some of the banners hanging around town are double-sided. The program started in 2017, but when it was started, there was no plan for taking them down or for replacing them. So that was the desire with this, because we've gotten about 6 years out and several of them have been damaged and many more are fading because when you're out in the sunlight all year round, they do fade. And so we looked into what the cost was to the borough and what the cost was to the resident. And we realized that in most cases, the borough is actually losing money on these. They're not actually adequately charging for these, for the administration time and for the time that it takes Public Works to actually hang these. And you can see that all listed out on the sheet. And basically right now, a one-sided banner is $100, a two-sided banner is $150, and that includes us installing them, you getting the person buying them, also getting mini banners for themselves and the brackets that it costs that we have to pay for to put them up, and then all the additional time. And then it's $70 to replace a damaged banner, or you can buy additional banners at cost at $20 each. The recommendation is for us to, and you can see our costs listed below, and that is just the actual cost. That doesn't include any labor charge. And so the recommendations are listed at the bottom, and I'm recommending that we increase the cost of a one-sided banner to $150. That would allow for a $50 fee for the borough, accommodating the time, the administrative time and the Public Works time that it takes to install those. And same thing, that applies to each of these. Increase the two-sided banner to $200, increase the cost of replacing a banner to $100, and increase the cost of replacing a mini banner to $30. This just allows us to accommodate the admin fee so that this is not costing taxpayers any additional money. This is just an equal thing. We're not making any money off of it, but we're not losing any money on it. And then we also have a recommendation that we have been leaving them up all year round, and we want to continue that. We think that is still a good practice, but instead, which several other municipalities don't, they only leave them up from Memorial Day to Veterans Day. But we feel that we should leave them up all year round, but we're only going to leave them up once you buy one for 4 years. And that way we can ensure that the ones that are up look nice and they're representing the veteran well. And at the end of the 4 years, while they're still in reasonably good condition, that people can take them back. And that point, if they wish to pay for another round of, if they want to have a new sign put up, then at that point they can. So that's the recommendation from that analysis.
So there is a motion to approve resolution 2023-13 updating the general fee schedule to adopt a new pricing structure for the Crafton Borough Military Banner Program.
So
So-
moved.
Second.
Mr. Marks, Ms. Compatello, discussion?
So have we gotten any input from, families of veterans, families of, memorialized veterans about the fee schedule changes?
We did not reach out to anyone specifically. We never, my understanding from other boroughs is we are the lowest price in the region. Many people have charged more than us. And even these prices put us right in the middle or lower end of the pack.
My concerns are just increasing the fees and making it prohibitive and having fewer banners, because I think it is a nice touch to our community. So I personally wouldn't mind the borough paying a little bit of money in order to have more banners personally.
One thing is, I should have mentioned at the beginning, we are about 8 banners away from not being able to put up any more banners. And we just put up 8, and I think we're within 8 of our capacity right now. So if we have 8 more people come in, we will have no space for additional banners.
How many additional banners do you get a year? Do we know?
We haven't done, yeah, and in the first 3 years, we got the most, and then they've trickled in since then, but I haven't done a complete analysis of when they came in. And that is something, actually, if we do the 4-year, we don't have the dates when they were put up. I only have them in alphabetical order because they weren't tracking that initially when the program first started. And that is something that I actually just asked them. So it's going to be somewhat of a laborious process to go back and find when they were all put up, which we'll have to do anyway. But that has to be done once. So I can get that information in future, in probably not by the next meeting, but within the next 2 or 3 meetings.
Although when we finish Crafton's Boulevard streetscaping, there will be more light posts and more space.
Yeah, I think that's about 15 or so. Yeah.
So if we have 292 banners, we only have 8 spots left, 300 banners at the rate of 200 per every double-sided banner. To pull them down and put them back up, we're talking about like 60K. And if we were to phase it over 4 years, you say 4-year lifetime, we replace a quarter of them every year. It's about 15K a year. And I don't know. Yeah, I'm just curious about what folks take and what the community's take is on raising the fee schedule for it, because I think, we're probably what were we paying if it cost us $150, but we weren't charging folks for 2-sided banners, is that right?
No, we were selling the 1-sided banner we actually incorporated there was an additional cost, about $20 for admin. But all the other ones were sold at cost, every other item that we sell. So all the admin time and all the public works time was free, essentially.
So today, if this motion passes, before we pass it, a resident could come pay $150 for a double-sided banner, and it would basically just pay for the banner, the labor, etc.
It wouldn't pay for any labor.
Oh, okay. We
ju-
would provide the admin, the labor.
Exactly. Right now, technically we're
Residents
losing
are
money.
paying for people's banners to be put up and the admin costs for those.
This new price would just allow us to break even.
Mhm.
We're not making any money. We're not losing any money.
Right.
We're just able to maintain.
The question is whether it's subsidized by other taxpayer dollars or not, and then that's what it comes down to. I mean, okay.
This time does, it takes, how long does it take to put one up? Because that takes away from
Yeah.
other public works duties too.
And that is completely dependent on where it's at.
Mhm.
Some of them are a 5-10 minute job. Some of them take an hour and a half because you have to get a ladder truck. You actually have to borrow a ladder truck and you have to stop traffic on Steuben or Crafton and put them up. So it entirely depends on where they are, how long they take to put up. So I averaged about a half an hour to 45 minutes per, because some of them do take much longer.
But then there's admin staff that also have to process it, all get the picture, get it done. They have to deliver and or have the pickup of the mini banners. So there are a lot of costs associated with this. But the demand has definitely been there. Sounds like the demand's definitely there.
My feeling about it is that if we're going to be raising fees, and this is the first time it showed up on the agenda and the first time anybody might have had a chance to hear or think about it, I generally like to defer it just so folks have more time to give input. But that's, I mean, I don't have a problem with raising the fee schedule from my perspective. I just don't know if there are other vets or families of vets in the community that have a different opinion. So
When would the new fees go into effect?
I have the resolution written such that they start on June 1st. But we could, if that is desire to table it and come back to it, I don't think there's any immediate rush for this. This was just a policy that we thought should be, taken care of since it is at a cost right now to the borough.
Are there grant funding sources that would cover, because this is a streetscaping, community pride, community character kind of program that we offer. It'd be nice to see if we could get some grant funding that would allow us to offer something like this for, a reduced cost or a subsidized cost as a gift to honor these service members.
I'm not aware of any, but we can definitely look into it.
So I guess I would like to make a motion to table.
Well,
this
there's a
motion.
motion on the table right now.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have,
so we have to vote?
yes.
No. Yeah, so I'd like to make a motion to table this motion until next meeting to give folks time to deliberate.
Second.
Now is there a vote? Okay.
Hey, Steve, just make sure you use your mic.
Oh,
Yep.
Yes, so you can make a motion to table while another motion is pending, and once the second is made, there's no debate and it just proceeds to a vote.
Proceeds to a vote on the table.
Yes, on the motion to table.
To table. Okay, so this vote, it will be on to table this motion. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So the motion is tabled.
Do we get any discussion? Or are we just tabling it until next month? That's what the statement was, I believe, until the, okay.
Yeah, just table till the next meeting.
Right,
And that was it.
that's yours. All right. Commission vacancy, Mr. Chandler.
Yes, so I will start off thankfully with a motion to approve, or I'm sorry, to appoint Donald Reese to the Crafton Planning Commission for a 4-year term to expire on April 13th of 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Vadilla, Ms. Bolenbacher, discussion. No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Great. So with that, we do have a few positions that are still open. And those positions can be viewed and applied for at craftonborough.com/commissions. And that with that, we have the 2 alternate civil service commission vacancies, 1 recreation board, 1 zoning hearing board, and 1 alternate also. And then we will have upcoming at the end of the year, we will have 3 recreation board seats available as well. And that's all that I had, unless Ms. Pokalnik or Mr. Price had anything to add to that.
Nope.
Can we just add that we do encourage people to apply for those open positions? And as well as keep an eye on them, because there are often things that do come up.
All right. COG, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Okay, the most recent COG was last Thursday. Al Kassan was the guest speaker. They gave a presentation on their clean water plan, which is the motion we did last week to allow them to take over some of our waterways. They were also asking, they're having an open house on September 16th. They're inviting everybody to come to the plant, and you get, from what I understand, actually a very interesting walkthrough, and they show you everything they're doing, because they're doing a lot of new work over there. The next meeting is Thursday, June 15th at 6:30. That'll be at the Carnegie Borough Building. And this one is their annual dinner. It is Western themed, if anybody would care to partake in a
Yeah, what
Western
does that
theme.
mean? Miss
Like
Whitlock?
old Western, like cowboy hat, cowboy boots. Probably shouldn't bring your gun, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Will you be taking your pictures so we can see them?
I'll be happy to be behind the camera. for that, but I will not be taking. If anybody would like to join me, I don't think I'll be. Really, here's your, if you want to see the
Oh.
ad for it, I
Oh.
did bring it. So if anybody would like to join me, please feel free.
Mhm.
They really stress like food and prizes with a short meeting, so I guess it's really more focused on the party. So
They have some pretty fun prizes. Last year, we went and it was a good time.
so are you joining me then? Is that what you're saying?
I won a prize that I was inedible, but it was very adorable.
Strawberry tequila, I think it was.
So yeah, if anybody's interested, let me know. I'd love a friend.
All right, community announcements. Our next council meeting is Thursday, June 8th at 7:15. We will have, of course, the Broadhead project being presented and the pool bathhouse project and details around those at that meeting. The pool passes, we've talked about that. Memorial Day ceremony is this Monday at 12 noon at the Borough Building. And this will honor those that gave their lives for our country through the military. The car and vendor cruise is June 10th, 11 to 6. We are looking for still vendor trucks and potentially cars. Correct.
Yeah, I think we actually have enough cars if I know. Yeah, I think we're still just looking for food trucks. Yeah.
And that will be throughout Crafton Park, of course, and Afton and all around there. And you can see the community garden as you're there too. Are you you're planting that? Okay, great. And mini golf, I think, will be open, so it's going to be a really big day. 4th of July, also same thing, big day. And that will be July 4th. Other communities are actually having it on July 3rd, quite a few communities surrounding here. So ours will be on the 4th.
I want to even say Carnegie was moving theirs to the 1st. Isn't
Yeah.
that what they said at the COG meeting?
I think that is what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've plenty of days to go see
Yeah.
some
You can
fireworks.
hop all around. The bands and food will start at 3 in Crafton Park. And we will have an expanded fireworks display, which will be at dusk, of course, after 9.
And can I add one thing for all the council members? We have agreed to host Connect's next executive session, which will be on June 29th. And so that's a great opportunity, even though you're not the representative that, if you're not Pam or Coletta, who are or myself, who are the official representatives, you can always come and join us. It'll be here at the community center. And it is going to be a bring your own drink happy hour afterwards. So it'll be a nice time if you want to meet some other elected officials around the region who are actively involved in their communities. It'll be a great time and a great way to welcome people in. So if anybody is able to come, it's a real, I have a little bias because I used to work for them, but I think they're a great organization. So please join if you can.
Is that
What time?
council only or is that public?
Council only, yeah, but I just wanted to let everybody know while you're all here.
And
Do we have a time for that? They're usually 5-ish.
They usually start at 4, so they actually are a little bit earlier, but they'll go till 6:30 or 7. So even if you can't make the meeting part of the agenda and you want to just show up for the networking portion, you're more than welcome.
So it's 4.
For
start.
the meeting start, and I think the happy hour portion of it will start around 5:30.
Any theme for that? Okay. So.
No theme that I know of. I'm sorry.
Before we move,
BYOB.
we should really double highlight though, for the 4th of July stuff, the expanded fireworks show. We got a lot of feedback last year about how folks were kind of unhappy about the length and the size of the fireworks. So we made sure in this year's budget to try to right that wrong.
And a lot of the communities are moving their days because they couldn't get fireworks or everybody's tied up. And that's the biggest day of the year. So it's actually cheaper to move it to other days. All right, public comment.
Couple
ahead.
other community announcements. This is not borough event, but a resident-led event. Pride in Crafton is going to be back this year. There will be a parade and then some following activities at Crafton Park. And that's scheduled for Sunday, June 25th. And then the other announcement I wanted to make, spotted lantern flies are back. A lot of people are seeing those out and about. They're in their young phase. They're small, they're black, but they have very obvious white spots. So keep an eye on those. And, let us know, I suppose, if you see them. There is a state portal to report them. Doesn't seem to do a whole lot, but they're definitely in Crafton. So.
I killed 85. I killed 85 already. Yeah. 85 little ones are dead. But yeah, on the blackberry, on my blackberries. That's, they don't seem to eat it. They just sit there. But okay. Very informative meeting today. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the borough will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson, represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Please state your name and physical address for the record. Oh, Andrea. What, Andrea, you have to come. Yeah.
Yeah, they can't hear you online if you're not on the mic. Yeah, sorry.
Andrea Markey, 38 Marion Street. I just want to clarify my earlier remarks about the food pantry. The almost $7,000 money spent on food was from January to March total. And the 114 households, 240 individuals was each month. I'm not sure if I said it like that before, but that's a monthly people served. Thanks.
And like I said, it'd be great to have that for your newsletter too. Anybody else? Anybody online? Raise your hand.
Everybody left on
They all-
Zoom.
Oh, they're all gone. Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I guess we weren't that interested.